You know, some very wise people throughout human history have said that in the midst of a traumatic or dramatic or whatever eventful moment that has some kind of emotional effect on you, you probably should shut your mouth and wait for yourself to cool down before you say anything, because you might make a fool of yourself. Actually, probably will make a fool of yourself. So now that it's the day after, or the day after the day after, it's tough with German time, I figured maybe I was in the right state of mind to actually say my piece on Game 7 of the first round series between the Vegas Golden Knights and the San Jose Sharks. And before I even go any further, I just want to say congratulations, San Jose. You're moving on. You slayed your demon from last year. You slayed your demon from this series somehow. And you're moving on to the second round against a team that you have a real good chance of beating. We may see you in the Western Conference Final this year. We may even see you in the Stanley Cup Final this year. So congratulations. I'm really, truly happy for you. And also, before I get into this whole thing about the call, we're just going to call it the call from now on. I think that's a pretty good name for it. And the game itself, I just want to say something that has been, I think, drowned out by the furor, the rightful furor around the call and what happened in Game 7. And that thing is Joe Pavelski. And I hope that he is okay. I don't know exactly what injury he sustained. I know that he was bleeding from his head, so something not great. I also know that he appeared to be unconscious, so maybe a concussion. And we all know you never know with a concussion. So seriously, Joe Pavelski, get better. I hope that you have a speedy recovery. I mean, I hope you maybe even rejoin your team for the playoffs. They're going to need you. But whatever you do, Joe, don't rejoin your team before you're ready to go. I don't care if protocol clears you. If you don't feel like you're 100%, even though your team is in the playoffs and you feel like you're letting them down, I know how it is. I know how it is to sit on the sidelines and think you're letting your team down, especially if you're the captain. But whatever you do, don't come back until you are ready to go. So I guess that's enough of a prep talk. So let's get right into it. If you're on the Facebook or the Twitters, which I assume you are since you're watching this video, you've probably seen a variation of at least one of the two takes, and probably both. The NHL just stole a series from the Vegas Golden Knights due to an absolutely BS major penalty called against Cody Eakin. Sorry, Vegas-born. Welcome to the true NHL fandom. Now you know heartache. Screw the Vegas Golden Knights. The expansion draft was rigged for them. The next expansion draft is also rigged for them, so they won't lose any players to Seattle. And they're crying about a penalty that they gave up 4 power play goals on. Screw you, nothing is handed to you. I mean, that second take is... I could get into that, but that's not what this video is about. You see, Twitter is this weird and wonderful place where you can very, very easily fall into a very deep echo chamber. I mean, it's only natural. We follow the people that we like and agree with, generally, and tend to avoid the people that we dislike and disagree with. I mean, I don't follow very many people that I don't like. I mean, a couple, just to laugh at them. But other than that, I don't need that shit in my life. And when you get lost in that echo chamber, you can't see the other side of the thing. And it gets very hard for you to realize that the two takes about this game and about that call are not necessarily mutually exclusive. I mean, more than one thing can be true at the same time, right? The fact that that call was egregious doesn't excuse the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights gave up 4 power play goals in 5 minutes. And by the same coin, the fact that Vegas gave up 4 power play goals in 5 minutes doesn't excuse how egregious that call was. And then there's the crowd that says, oh, the refs missed so many calls on Vegas. You know, they were just evening the series out a little bit. That's not the ref's job. The ref's job is to call penalties that he sees in the moment that he sees it. Not to not call something because you didn't see it, and then decide during the TV timeout to confer with the others and then just guess. Based on the outcome on the ice, because someone's laying there bleeding, there must have been a penalty. That's not how refereeing works. And I said this. I said this after Game 5, and now I feel like a prophet. Okay, maybe I'm blowing myself up a little too much there, but I said this at the end of Game 5 when Marchie got the high sticking penalty on, who was it? Couture. That's right, Couture. Couture leaves the ice immediately. No penalties called. No arms are up. No one says anything. Refs don't call a penalty because they didn't see it. Then a TV timeout comes because Couture left the ice. And the referees get together and they huddle and they say, well, I mean, he left the ice. There must have been a penalty. They call a high stick on Marchus, though. The Sharks score on the ensuing power play. Okay. Yeah. And I get it. It's Vegas' fault for letting the penalty turn into a power play goal. True. Very true. But my point isn't even about the series. Or Game 7, really. I've accepted we lost. Vegas lost this series fair and square. They couldn't close it out when they had chances. I'm not denying that. But the way that these referees took this game in their hands is a dangerous thing, not just for us, not just for Vegas. All right, it sucks for Vegas right now, sure. It was a bad call. It sucks. Refereeing is, in general, not great around playoff time. Other series have had problems. I get it. I really do. It's not unique to us. But the idea of calling a penalty based on outcome, not on what the referee saw, is dangerous for every team in the league. I mean, you realize the conversation that's going to happen this summer? I mean, people are already talking about, oh, this is a great case for having to review major penalties. Oh, Jesus. You think that's going to make this better? You think that another video review in a league where a skate a centimeter off the ice, a video review on offsides takes a goal back? In a league where, like, barely touching the goalie, maybe not even from behind the net, outside, over the top, somehow calls a goal back? Did goaltender interference review make this situation better? No. So, this is my problem. Because these referees decided to call penalties on outcomes and take a guess as to what the penalty was, and take a hold of the game and shape it, regardless of whether the team choked or not, there's going to be a larger conversation about this kind of calling of penalties. I tell you, it's enough to make you want to drink. That's good. That's good. That's real good. And you know, at this point, I'd like to, I don't want to plagiarize, but Steve Dangle had he likes to say it all the time on the podcast. Hockey's gonna be real great when they're done with it. Can you finish it soon? Maybe? In the next, I don't know, decade? No? Too little time? Okay. Alright. Well, we're just gonna suffer through it anyway, We're kind of a captive audience. It's not like there's a competitor or anything. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I probably forgot something. But, it doesn't matter. I made my point, essentially. Refs decided that they wanted to guess on a penalty, and it cost Vegas. Vegas had their own part in it, and choked in overtime too, but I mean, chicken kind of came before the egg, didn't it? Yeah. Well, you know, I've probably talked enough about this, but you know, hey, it was on my mind, and I wanted to get it off my chest, because I feel like it could have been prevented. And maybe it's a good thing that this happened in such a dramatic manner, so that attention will be called to this kind of refereeing, and maybe something will be done about this kind of refereeing. Maybe some kind of accountability happen. I mean, hey, a man can hope, right? I wouldn't bet on it, but hey, a man can hope. So, that's the end of my rant. You know, I'm just gonna sit here for the next 5 months and look at my beautiful wall of things and dream of better times where referees call penalties that they actually see.